Hello, sorry, I was muted. I was talking to you, but I was muted. How are you? Welcome here. You're in Toronto, correct? My life. I just want to confirm. Oh no, it's cat condo. There's a cat condo shop from that I. Mm. Can you hear me? I was asking you a question, but I don't think you heard. Oh right, okay, good, good, good. I got that. Hey, Dream or Get Lost, how are you? God bless you. God bless you. So my life, like, where are you from originally? Like, are you like? I'm just curious. Are you born and raised in the U.S. or? But I'm happy you watched. Were you able to catch some of the other lives? Did you watch it? And what brings you back? Tennessee. I hope you're not in the capital city. I hope so. Thank you so much for coming back to my life. I appreciate it so much. I have some returnees. Please give smash the like button on your way in. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Let's get the algorithm juice flowing tonight. Get the algorithm juice flowing. Look at the title. Have you seen the title of us? What I want to talk about? De-dollarization. How that affects us here. Interesting topic, wouldn't you say? You have been looking into the subject. I'm gonna put a video up tomorrow. Hopefully, I can do it for early, so I won't want to stay too long, so that I can do all that I gotta do. Smash the like button on your way in. Thank you so much. You got 9 people. Let me have 9 likes. Let's go. Let's rumble. What do you think about the subject? Yes, dream or get lost. What do you? So you've been looking into it. Tell me what you think. De-dollarization. De-dollarization. What are your thoughts if you've been looking into it? So my life, how has it been going? Are you an XRP bag holder or what are you doing? Have you started investing? Atelier the cupcake. Did you get my reply? Thank you for joining tonight. How are you doing? How's your health? God is your strength. Okay. Atelier the cupcake. Atelier the cupcake. Smash the like button, get us to 9 likes, just exactly as we. I'm just waiting for a few more people to hop on, and then I'll start talking about what I want to talk about tonight. Yes, 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 yes. So if you're in for this conversation, you know. Let me know your thoughts. I want to read what you guys think. Yes, it is. It is. It'll give you six figures easily. So why do you return to the channel? Tell me one thing you appreciate about this channel. I want to know. I always ask that question. I want to hear from people, right? Very interesting times we're living in. This is a massive subject. I know it's massive. Bonsoir, drum drum. Ça va? How is it in French town, French land? Okay, we have people slow to join us today. We'll just go ahead with what we have. Okay, so let's first of all look at the subject de-dollarization. What does it mean? Actually, I think I I I I um I spelt it wrong. Okay. If it crashes. No, I don't think any currency will take its place, right? So um I don't know if I can I do this? Can I? Yeah, I spelled it wrong actually, but I'm going to share this with you. First of all, we're going to do. Let's just go to Wikipedia. Do I know if do I like Wikipedia? No. Let me go to Investopedia and ask that question. So we want to the first thing to do. Let's actually go to JP Morgan and talk to them about it. Okay, let's go to JP Morgan. They are a big name, right? So I'm going to JP Morgan's thing here. Okay, so I'll give it a minute or two to buff up and so that you can see what I'm looking at. That's a good question. Dream or get lost. I ask people if the dollar crashes, what currency will it take its place? So I'm in Canada. If the US dollar crashes, the Canadian dollar will crash also. And by the way, right now the Canadian dollar is like the US dollar is up 40% on top of the Canadian dollar. Let me even check what it is right now. CAD to USD. So one Canadian dollar is 69 US. Okay, let's reverse it. Let's do US dollar, Canadian dollar. So one Canadian dollar is 1.44. One US dollar is 1.44 Canadian dollars. So basically, where you guys in the US, your dollar is 44% up on our dollar. Okay, that's a lot. But it helps us in trade in a certain way because if we do services in the US, if we offer you services, hello Ogunarafim, so welcome. If we offer you services in US dollar and you guys we pay us, we invoice you in US, you pay us, and we put in a US account here, it favors us because if I do a deal that is 10,000 US dollars, I'm going to get 14,000 Canadian. The only problem is that our inflation is out of control. Otherwise, it would have been very, very juicy, but it's still good because the price of a house in certain places, depending on where you are in Canada, and land could just be, it could just be a blessing that you tend to earn more. That's why when XRP got to $3.90, yeah, Canadian, it got to $2.90 US. A lot of people were popping their champagne. I don't drink, but you know what I mean. In Australia, they were having a party because there were people who were instant millionaires that night as a result of XRP getting to that for their own currency. Okay, so de-dollarization. Let's start with that because it's important that we know what it means. This is a conversation. I want to hear from you guys. My life. I hope you are still here. All right. The gospel and crypto. Oh, thank you so much, my life. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. If you ever want to email me, just send me an email here. Um, that's my life. Because I didn't know you've been on. I think I've seen you sometime, but so when I saw it, I was like, I know this name. Okay, so is a dollar? Can you all see the screen? Let me know if it's showing. So it says, um, what is de-dollarization? What would be the impact of de-dollarization and all that? De-dollarization in commodity markets, in payments, in global trade and FX. Okay, so here we go. De-dollarization entails a significant reduction in the use of the US dollar in world trade and financial transactions, right? And remember, this I'm on JP Morgan's side. Some signs of de-dollarization are evident. Okay, well, how I spelled it the first was good. Okay, in the commodity space, where energy transactions are increasingly priced in non-US currencies. Okay, and it's true. Globally, new payment systems are facilitating cross-border transactions without the involvement of US banks, which could undermine the dollar's clout. US dollar's share of FX reserves, the most commonly analyzed barometer of dollar dominance, has decreased notably in emerging markets. However, while diversification away from the dollar is a growing trend, the factors that support dollar dominance remain well entrenched, and meaningful de-dollarization will likely take decades. Okay, so that's what they're saying. They are saying it's going to take decades. Well, do you think so? Do you really think so? So let's look at a couple things here, and then we'll know whether this is really something to write home about. So let's look at one of the reasons why I am concerned. I'm not worried, I'm concerned, and why I think crypto has a long has a part to play in stabilizing the American economy and as well as the North American economy. Because if you look at the title of this live, what I said here is the title is De-dollarization, XRP, and a new North American Union, right? So just talking about, remember what Trump has been talking about, people say he wants to invade and annex Canada, and they're just getting wild over it, overreaction. He's bombastic, but he's not invading anything. He's going to use tariffs. He's going to force a delineation of the border so that there's a joint agreement. In fact, one force, one border force, one military, one banking system, and so on and so forth. Okay, Drum says, hello, Egyptian. So we've been pampered for way too long in Canada, and Trump wants to shake us from our slumber the American way. State workers' jobs exploded after COVID and for starters. Yeah, what is decaying here is getting tough. Decaying here, I don't know what that means. Okay, but you are very correct. Okay, but it's not just that. You see, there's in addition to what you've said, there's a problem. So let's look at what de-dollarization this year. Yeah, dollar cost averaging. I love that. You tied it in really nicely. Yeah. So that's why it's going to get tougher. So let me share this one here. So look at this. Saudi Arabia just ditched the US dollar. This is not a joke. Okay. And this was posted by Islamic City. Okay. This is, by Andre Jake. So this is his video. You can go and watch it if you want. But look at what he says here. Okay. Andrew Jick explains the significant shift in global economies with the expiration of the long-standing petrodollar agreement between Saudi Arabia and the US on June 9, 2024. So by June, they were supposed to sign a renewal. Of course, they already made it clear they were not signing nothing. So it basically lapsed, okay? So they've had, excuse me, I just noticed that I'm having some kind of a cold this evening. So pardon my sniffy. Okay, so the long-standing petrodollar agreement between these two countries. This system in place for 75 years marked the US dollar as the world's reserve currency, granting economic stability and access to rising asset prices. So for a long time, the dollar had been very stable. You hear about inflation in other countries like Zambia, you hear inflation in Zimbabwe, you hear it in Mexico, like crazy galloping runaway inflation, where a loaf of bread that was selling for $1 now goes to like $7, $8, $10, right? And in that currency, it'll be thousands and thousands and thousands. And some of those countries have actually resolved their runaway inflation by becoming, producing in their own country. Like look at Vietnam, for example. They now began to produce. Now they're exporting garments. They're exporting shoes. Indonesia, the same thing. Malaysia, the same thing. If you look at the history of these countries, there was a time when their money was worthless. The same thing with Singapore, under the leadership of Lee Kuan Yew, has turned that country into an economic miracle. So but America has never really gone through that. Well, there was the Great Depression, right? It was the 1920s, and with what the de-dollarization, I think this thing is going to be faster. When JP Morgan says, "Oh, it's not going to be like that," it's going to be a couple of decades. I beg to disagree, because even though they are the big ones, remember these guys, they're not going to tell you exactly what's going to happen. Remember, they are the ones, JP Morgan and who's Jamie Dimon, right? That's the JP Morgan CEO, and the BlackRock CEO, Larry Fink. For years, they were saying Bitcoin is a pet rock. Bitcoin is nothing, is garbage, is this, is that. With Warren Buffett, too. That's all they were saying. Now, all of these billionaires and all of these hedge fund companies and all the banks, non-banking financial institutions and banks are all buying into Bitcoin. Not only that, JP Morgan is one of the pilot banks, I believe, from what I've seen with Ripple documentation, that they used to test, besides Bank of America, they actually use the big banks to test their Ripple Net and their XRapid or XCurrent. Is that what it's called? XCurrent or XRapid? Yeah. All of their products under the Ripple Labs, whatever. So all of their testing was done with these guys. Now, let me show you this other tab here. Saudi Arabia just said they are now open to the idea of trading in currencies beside the US dollar. Does this spell doom for the greenback? 3 reasons not to worry. I am always concerned when the media says 3 reasons not to worry. So the 2023 World Economic Forum gave the world a good glimpse into the future, the global elite's visions for us all. And it's interesting to say the least. Saudi Arabia's finance minister stunned reporters in Davos when he expressed that the oil-rich nation was open to trading in currencies beside the US dollar for the first time in 48 years. There are no issues with discussing how we settle our trade agreements, whether it's in the US dollar, the euro, or the Saudi riyal. Okay, well, they're not telling us everything, right? Because once you say you're not doing this, why are you going to tell the US dollar what you're going to do? I'm a pastor, right? There's people who leave my church to go somewhere else. They don't tell me the church they are going most times, except if they really are people that, maybe they prayed about it, God was leading them. They were not leaving because they're offended. They are not leaving because they feel, see, what's happening here is, people countries have felt stifled for a long time by the sanctions of the US, because a country that is on its own can't do whatever it wants. A sovereign nation can't just say, we want to do this. The US can sanction. And the issue is not that the US was sanctioning all the time for good reasons. Sometimes they're sanctioning for their own selfish reasons. And so people became tired of it. And I remember a speech President Ruto of Kenya gave at a world meeting with many world leaders. And he said, I can't remember which one. And he was talking about how it's time for Africa to look for another currency. They should be able to trade in their own currencies. Do you see? So the narrative has completely changed. The countries are leaning away from the US dollar. So here's what happens. If countries are not demanding the US dollar, central banks of different countries are not stacking up the US dollar, petrodollar, right? Once that petrodollar is removed, once Saudi Arabia gets off of it, it's no longer the petrodollar. It becomes just the US dollar. But right now, as the petrodollar, for the last 70-something years, being the petrodollar has really made it so strong, stable, and you could trust it for assets. So if you can trust gold, you can trust it. They made the US dollar, that they print anyhow, like if it was gold. Do you see what I mean? Because it was removed from the gold standard way back in the day. So here you go. And once demand drops for something, right? Money is not chasing something. So the Russian ruble is not chasing the dollar. The Nigerian naira is not chasing the dollar. The Brazilian, what's the Brazilian money now? Is not chasing the rupee, is not chasing the dollar. Once all of these things, the renminbi is not chasing the dollar. Once all these currencies are not chasing the dollar, the value begins to drop. And the way this thing is going, BRICS is moving there at an accelerated speed. They're going to end up crashing the dollar. And remember, some of the countries there don't like the US. Iran doesn't like the US. And when they go to meetings, their proposal, Look at the proposal of the Brazilian president a few years ago. He was asking, well, with regards to um, the de-dollarization. He was asking, I can't forget, it was the other president, not the last one, the one before the last one, and he made a proposal. It's interesting that, and he said that BRICS should have its own currency. So when you, hi Dolph Mendoza, welcome here. So when you say we're going to have our own currency, and then the people here in the media, they say, oh, it's going to take a long time. It's going to take a long time for that to happen. It's going to take a long time for that to happen. Well, those who are in the prophetic community who have been seeing these things, because for me, it's one thing to prophesy, it's another thing to actually practice the prophecy. The Bible says the prophecies that went before you are that you might by them war a good warfare. To actually look further and dig deeper and analyze things. You know what I mean? So that's why people get so discouraged, because there's a prophecy is not coming to pass. They just say, but when you research and you start looking at all of these things, if the word was from the Lord, He will also show you. That's why the prophetic gift and the teaching gift are very important for them to go together. Don't get me wrong; other gifts must work together. The five gifts to the church: apostle, prophet, teacher, pastor, evangelist. They must all work together. But the prophetic gift, when the prophecy is given, it's one thing to just give the prophecies, give the prophecies, give the prophecy. But somebody must be a teacher who is researching, a scribe who is finding all of those things. The Bible says Jesus did not teach as the scribes. So he was a different kind of rabbi, a scribe who was anointed by the Holy Spirit. So we are able to find information. God leads us to information that helps us to have a better understanding. So the prophecy are for us to war a good warfare. What does it mean to war a good warfare? Is to research. That's one way to war a warfare, is to research and find information, look at the legalese, look at what is happening, look at the posturing of different countries, the positioning, so that we can advise the church to take position properly. That this is, some people get frustrated and discouraged, but when you are walking, you won't even notice that time is passing. But when you say, oh, XRP is going to 10,000, then people just sit down and they're waiting. They don't do anything anymore. They look at their 10,000 units and they multiply it by 10,000, and they say, why, my goodness, 10,000 times 10,000, how much is that? Is it 100 million or 10 million? And they just feel, I don't need to do anything again. So they sit down and they are waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And the Bible says hope deferred makes the heart sick. You think that's what Daniel was doing in Babylon? When he knew, well, we may never return to our own country. What did he do? Daniel was a busy man. Daniel was a hardworking man. Daniel was celebrated by the heathen king. And that's what we should be. We should be princes. Even now, we should have so much wisdom. And, as we trade in the knowledge of the earth and we learn things and we find out what's going on, we become very wise. We become very, we increase our capacity and our ability to learn. That's what Joseph was in Egypt. He was respected. His dream moved from just dreaming to practice. He said, okay, I know what we're going to do. You think it was just, I just sitting down there and it came? No, he processed the dream and he must have asked God, I think, and said, oh, what do we do with this? How do we do this? And then an idea came to him. Oh, you know what we're going to do? The 7 years of plenty, we're going to gather and gather and gather. There are many Christians who are going to lose their wealth transfer because they have not prepared. They are not prepared intellectually. They are not prepared in their mind. All they are thinking of is, so you know what? I'm going to be flying business class. I'm going to be flying private. I'm going to be flying whatever. I will serve the Lord. I will use it for God's work. Yes, and they mean it. They buy a whole container of clothes and ship it to a poor country somewhere, and it's on the news. But we all need the wisdom of God. You see, if you look at David, before he climbed the throne, God gave him wisdom. If you look at Joshua, before he took over from Moses, God gave him wisdom. And even then, he was fooled by the Gibeonites. That's Joshua. And they made him sign a treaty with them, and he was never able to get the land that he was supposed to get from the Gibeonites. Do you see what I'm saying? So understanding these things will help us understand the prophetic gift, that it's one thing to prophesy, it's another thing to understand what is going on. So let me link the prophecies now that we've been hearing. And my wife had a dream, I think it was 2 years ago, in which she saw that there was a great famine. And she said we were looking for $5 Between me and her, we couldn't find it. And when she told me that, I was concerned. I said, my goodness. But the dream was not that that's what's going to happen to us. The dream was a warning for us to begin to keep our house in order, look at our debts, look at our mortgages, look at it. Because in the time of famine, interest rates will go up. In the time of famine, there will be great, death, and financial resources will not have the power that it had. So there's a lot to analyze from that dream. And you have to ask God for wisdom. So then I said, okay, what do we do? Then she said, well, I don't know. Well, she just had a dream. So then, not long after, she had another dream. Guess what the dream was? She saw XRP flying up in value, right? This was 2 years ago. And I said, wow. And so then she saw another one. She saw, what's it called? Ada Cardano also flying in value. Now, she wasn't interested in crypto at first, but as I explained it to her, and she's the kind of person, if she's not interested, she's not going to do it. Of course, most people, they're not interested, don't want to do anything. Confused minds always end up saying no, even if they follow you, they're just doing that, to please the person. But because the Lord knew her personality, He gave her those revelations. I was not having crypto dreams. I was having assurances. I was having knowledge in my knower. I was having wisdom encounters. God will show me certain things, and I'll say, oh, this is where this is going. This is where this is going. This is where that is going. So in the same way, I'm telling you right now that those dreams are for us to have understanding. So there are many prophetic voices who have told us that a famine is coming. Where do you think the famine will come from? It will come from several options. But I'm telling you, the one of the things you got to see is the destruction of the US dollar, because it's going to lose value quickly when BRICS decides to do what they're going to do. Just so you know, it's not only 5 countries. It was Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Now they have Saudi Arabia. That's 6. Then there's 10 other countries, right, that have filed up. I may be wrong, but you can do the research yourself. That have filed. They're on the line to join BRICS. So what do you think is going to happen when all of these countries, like if you go to Wikipedia, you see, I can share my screen here so that, I don't really like using Wikipedia, but, because I remember when I used to write papers, I was taking some courses and I just felt like, So this is de-dollarization. It refers to countries reducing reliance on the US dollar as a reserve currency, medium of exchange, or as a unit of account. And I can tell you that what you call them, the BRICS countries are going to be the one that would really, really do. Sorry, I had to mute myself. Okay, for background noise there. Okay, so as I was saying, that's where we are. So it's really, and when you look at this one here with BRICS, look at them here. So the term BRIC was originally developed in the context of foreign investment strategies, but eventually they look at Brazil, Russia, India, and China, and that's what you got. So they are the ones. There's many other countries, you see, who have now requested. You can do the research. I don't have time to show you, so this doesn't just keep going on. That have requested to say, look, we want to join you guys. We want to be part of this thing. We want to be part of the this economic thing. So what is the answer? How is the US and North America going to survive? Because when you have a blockade, it's not like, oh, they know what is going to cause, but they're not interested in caring about what is going to cause for North America, right? Being dominant, they don't care. So you have Canada that is sitting right by the USA. You have Mexico. So they have this NAFTA thing that was later, under the first Trump presidency, they called it the United States, Mexico, Canada agreement, right? It was re-signed, and he says it's better than NAFTA. That's what he said. Some people say it's not, whatever. But now they have a new what the Trump administration is going to propose is that all of these 3 countries come together, as well as taking Greenland, buying Greenland, having some kind of an arrangement. And he has a reason why he's saying this, because when you look at the trade balances between all these countries, they seem to have benefited so much from the US. So, but if they come together and they have not just the most powerful pact you will ever see in the world. It will be able to challenge the strength of Europe. Remember, Europe is a trading bloc on its own that is almost as big as the United States. And the European bloc was set up to basically be like North America so that they have that power. Now you've got BRICS, an alliance of nations within which some of those nations are hostile to the United States. Some of them have actually taken technology from the US, stolen it, or whatever you want to say, and they're all together. There's China there, there's Russia there, and all of that. And they have advanced on their own. So they are going to come together and they're going to, which they have already, they're going to propose a new currency. Remember, before NAFTA, there was this proposal that there should be something called Amero. Amero was the North American currency that the three countries would use. That is going to come back, right? Digital ID, all these things, some of the things that people don't even like. Digital currency, Trump says he's not going to do it, but I bet you they're going to end up doing some of those things because as inflation rises, partly because the dollar reduces by, even if the dollar reduces by 10 to 20%, it will have such a cascading effect on the economy. I'm even talking 5 to 10%. It will have such a serious blow on the economy. Already there's inflation. And then now there's debt, 36 trillion. You know, they just printed crazily in COVID. And then on top of that, look at the interest on the debt that they have to service. Nobody asks, who are we owing, right? But that's the reality. And so the solution is you get one big block, trading block, that is powerful, that manufactures its own goods and services from within, which America was doing before the Second World War. They didn't even want to enter into the Second World War, but they were pulled in by Britain and the alliance in Europe. And so then the attack by the Japanese Navy at the time, the Pearl Harbor attack, all of those things pulled America into the war. And I remember what the Japanese admiral said. He said, "We have awoken a sleeping giant." So America will go back to those days where, because of the knowledge they have, will start trying to do things on its own. It's going to be tough, but they will come out under the leadership of Donald Trump, who's a businessman, who I believe has God-given wisdom on how to put things together. Now, if you go to Brandon Biggs' prophecy, he prophesied that he saw Donald Trump trying to put a plane together that was broken, and he was able to do it, and he put America together in such a way with Canada, US, and all of that. They had one currency, $1, and all that. It's true. It's going to happen. I believe it. I believe the Lord has given me a witness in my spirit. I didn't have a dream, but I just have seen it, that is how it's going to come to pass. And there's other people who have prophesied those things too. I really believe that is what's going to happen. Why? Because there's no way. Think about it. If America comes under siege, the siege of European trade blockade, not that they will block them, it's just that they will say, we don't need the dollar anymore. We can use other things now. Remember, America is not the only one who can create cryptocurrency. They can create their own too. So, which they all have now, cryptocurrencies. Remember, Quant is based in the UK. Even though it's meant to connect all of the different ledgers and all of that, but it is all of the blockchains, in the ISO 222, and maybe others are, but that's where I don't know beyond that. And it's still going to be a crypto asset that can be used to buy and sell, because it will have value denominated in whatever currency worldwide. Do you see what I'm saying? So, Italy, all of these countries, France, all of them, they're going to start finding, what do we do? They will have their own currency too. And at the end of the day, Europe says, this is what we want to do. It's only people like Giorgia Meloni who is saying, no, you guys are not right. Because she seems to be level-headed. She's not woke. She seems to be somebody who really looks at things from a very critical standpoint, and she's very intelligent. But the point I'm making, though, is you've got Europe wanting to do their own thing. You've got BRICS getting stronger and stronger. And guess what? Most of the BRICS countries are manufacturing for all of the other countries in Western, Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam. They're going to ask to join. I don't know if they've joined. All of these countries, because they want protection and they don't want to depend on the dollar. The leaders there don't want America to bully them or to tell them, if you don't do this, we're going to block you. And more so, they've seen America's corruption. All this time, America said, no, you are not corrupt. Under the Biden regime, everything, all of their corruption was blown wide open. And these countries are seen and said, really? You are not even that better than us in the first place. So America now becomes diminished on the world stage. Still powerful, still strong, but people are looking for other alternatives, right? And so at the end of the day, there could be war, there could be world war to some certain level, because currency causes wars, right? But at the end of the day, currency and global trade balance can cause a war. But at the end of the day, with the Trump presidency for the first 4 years, he does things very quickly. He has speed, right? And he's, because when people are not corrupt, trying to enrich themselves, and they just want to help the nation and they love their nation, they will do things, right? Quickly. So the coming together of those countries, and then Canada, US, Mexico, and then the annexation of Greenland. It's not going to be an annexation. It's going to be a discussion. Denmark needs the money. They will find a way and put them in a deal whereby they'll give them, America takes control of all of that. And a portion of what comes out, remember, Trump can negotiate. He says, if we make $100 billion because of this every month, you get so billion. You think they're going to say no? They won't. When they didn't know what to do with it. They couldn't afford to be flying over there from Europe to come to Greenland to do whatever. And Trump says, look, this is what I had. This is the idea. They say, my goodness, this looks good on paper. All right, we sign. Please like on your way in and like on your way out if you didn't like before. So that's what I think is going to happen. So the topic for tonight, or what I've been discussing, is that is on the, how XRP and fits into the de-dollarization. And this is how it fits into it, right? XRP is an American product. Ripple is an American product. And Trump is going to do this. Remember what he did, how he brought some manufacturing back home. He's causing, not just causing, they are actually causing up to him, because they know what they will benefit using whatever is remaining of America's strength globally to push this idea. And of course, they've signed all these over 300 agreements with various organizations, banking and non-banking financial institutions, and it saves 27 trillion worldwide. Let me ask you a question. How much of that 27 trillion of the nostro vostro accounts that are not required anymore once XRP is fully adopted, and XDC and what's the other one, and XLM, once they are fully adopted, how much of that pre-funding, and then you got Algorand, then you got Miota, then you got IOTA, then you got HBAR, right? And all of them. How much of that pre-funding, you got, what's the other one now? ADA, Cardano. How much of the pre-funding will be required? 27 trillion will be released. How much of that 27 trillion is in the poorer countries? How much of them are in the poorer countries? Most of it is in the West, and a lot of it is in America. I don't have the numbers, but guaranteed a lot of it is in America. Why? When China is bringing goods to the US, the largest consumer of goods made overseas, right? The pre-funding is in China. It's in America, because as a Chinese manufacturer, you're going to pay your Chinese producer, right? My son is trying to make clothes in Vietnam as I speak to you, so he had to send money to them. Now, when they are about to make products, he has to go to them. If he wants to order 1,000 units, he goes to the bank here, and the bank will give him a letter of credit. It's a pre-funded account, and they wait. So that will no longer exist. It will release into the market, and most of it is in America. Do you see? So that's how you begin to deal with the debt problem. That's just the first thing. There's way more I can say about XRP. Let me give you one more. The savings. The other day I sent $1,000, all right, by wire transfer. I spent $47, and they will tax you on top of it. And if you go and cancel anything, they charge you again. Like, it's crazy. So imagine somebody sending billions of dollars, and when I send it in XRP, now the other day my brother was saying to me, hey, why don't you send the money in XRP? I was like, you know what? I didn't even think of it. You see, we are so used to do. Somebody's saying they can't hear me. You can't hear me? Can you hear me? I hope I've not been talking. Egyptian, maybe it's just you. Yes, they will. But you have to know why they will do well. Yeah, that's not that's for the bank doing a wire transfer. That's not a. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Yeah. So and it was not a there were two different cases. One was Had to do with our church. But can you imagine if our church had an account and we could send money in Bitcoin or XRP or whatever, And Bitcoin is not even that it's expensive, right? Ethereum is expensive to deal with, but XRP is 0.00 in fees. And there you go. Please give me likes. We have 24 of you in here. I'm going to, okay. So I'm going to leave very soon. Please, you can go and watch what I said earlier. So I've been talking about de-dollarization. I've just shared with you how XRP comes into the picture, how they can be used to help pay down the debt America owes. And I don't believe that debt will be paid. I think they will do some kind of arrangement, and yeah, it will be paid somehow, or written off. I don't know. But at the end of the day, who do they owe? Have you ever asked yourself, who are we owing? Who is North America owing? Who is Canada owing? Right? So they were printing money with nothing backing it. When you write a book and you say it's $10, your writing, your labor, everything is backing the book. And so it stabilizes an economy. When you print money, yes, they will cancel it somehow so that they can have a fresh start. And XRP gives them that fresh start. Not just XRP, all the other ones. It provides liquidity. People don't understand how it does it. But I'm saying, stop thinking about the past. Start thinking about the future. Look at what it is and see how. Ask God to give you an open eye, to open up your intuition, your heart, your mind, your eyes, your spiritual eyes to see the future. But all I've said today in summary is that there is something happening. There's a change happening. There is de-dollarization happening, and it's threatening to America. And the reason why I did this is because I said this in one video, and somebody made a comment. He said, it's not a threat to America, LOL. He laughed out loud, and he put all this emoji with tears, saying, how can you say it's a threat? So a lot of Americans are fooled. They have no idea. Those of us who live in Canada and USA, we think we can never be poor. We think our country can never, ever be poor. We are very close to being a poverty-stricken third world country, but people have no idea. If you want to know how close we are, look at the household debt. Look at how much people are owing. And people can lose their car overnight. Go and read your mortgage. Go and read your car loan, your car notes. They own it, you don't. And they can easily come and pick that car from you, except if you paid cash for it. So people have no, yes, a little dream. People have no idea. Americans, as Canadians, we just feel we have it all. And some Canadians are just cursing Trump out. He's an evil man. He wants to come and take over our country. He wants to invade us. Can you imagine Trump fighting a war and killing all of us to take the country? You see, they are so childish. They have no idea. And I'm not saying that I support how Trump says it. He's bombastic. That is his personality. And I think that's how he gets his way across. Sometimes it's not palatable for many people. But let me tell you, the guy has seen something that most people have not seen. When Moses took the children of Israel out of Egypt, he saw somewhere far, but they didn't see it. When Abraham was going to the promised land, God said, to a land that I will show you. There are times when people have not seen it. And so they begin to wrestle, they begin to misbehave, they begin to, God said, I will give you your own child. Sarah said, I can't wait. I'm tired of waiting. Just let my maid give you, and that give you a child. And that was Ishmael. To this day, Ishmael and Isaac are having tension. You see what I'm saying? So understanding these things is important, and prophecy is good. It's given by God, but we have to have teaching to understand it very well so that we can fight a good warfare. Please give me the likes. There's 26 people in the room here. Give me some likes and help the channel. And God bless you in Jesus' mighty name. I want to thank you all. Thank those of you who gave me who sent me, what's this, super chats on here, $10, $5. I really appreciate it, because I wasn't expecting it at all. I didn't even set it. I didn't set a goal, but because people really wanted to be a blessing, they did that. So I really appreciate it. Victoria, thank you very much for coming on. God bless you. Appreciate you. You have to go and watch it from the beginning, because what I said here is very, very important. I'm talking about de-dollarization and how it can affect North America. And that I don't think that people are aware of how quickly it can happen. What do you believe will happen before then? Well, 2030 is how many years away from now? 4 years. So anything can happen before then. Abundance Grace says by 2030. Agenda 2030, yeah, maybe not, maybe after, we don't know. But I'm telling you that you will start seeing the drop, because right now Saudi Arabia is no longer depending on the US for military protection. They've gone their own way under the new king, that young man, right? So they're doing their own thing. Yeah. So I'm thinking before that too. It's just good to be prepared. That is why if you have XRP, it's very good for you to stack it, hold it, XDC, XLM, and some of the other cryptos too that are not ISO right now, but they're on their way to being a different ISO. I think there's going to be other ISOs for some other coins. So watch out for that. See the ones that are being the projects that are going to be used for different things like DAG. DAG is going to be used for nuclear, military hardware, space, exploration hardware, whatever it is. I think for design of that stuff, read their white paper. I can't read the white paper myself. I can't read everything, but I go through quickly. I see some things and I say, okay. But DAG, the way that I received it was, a revelation from the Lord about it. Please give me some likes. You're 24 in the room. Let me have some likes. God bless you. So that's exactly what it is. Now, I don't know how to put the comments after I'm done, but I'm beginning to, it's time for me to sign off because we have prayers by 6:30 a.m. tomorrow. And we've been on a fast for 14 days. So you know, we've been fasting daily we're on day 4, we're going to day 5. That's at my church, at our church. So they never tell you the truth. They tell us that date to keep comfortable. Exactly. This thing is going to become sudden. The Bible says when they say peace, peace, then sudden destruction will come upon them. I've learned something. When the media is saying, look here, look here, look here, I start looking there, looking there, looking there, because they don't tell the truth. It's important for us not to look there, right? But to look over there. So that's okay, Black Elegance. What happened was, you know what? You guys can set up your notification. Just click on notification so that when I do a live, and that's if you, I don't want people to say, oh, I want to be there every time. Well, if I put up a live, it's important. I can do short videos during the day, but the lives help me to have this conversation with you guys. And in the future, I want to bring some of you on. So I will use a Restream account to bring you guys on video so we can have a good conversation, and you guys can chip in because things that will benefit many people as well. So Black Elegance, is good to see you on here. So what I was talking about, I'll just summarize and I'll share some pages very quickly again so you guys see. I started with the definition of de-dollarization using JP Morgan's page. Let me know if you can see my screen. If you can see my share. Okay, that's all right. Okay, but I'm usually on 10 p.m. Central Time. That's when I come on, 10 p.m. Central Time. It could be earlier, it could be after, but I'm usually on around that time. Okay, so JP Morgan's definition is what basically the same on Wikipedia, but I wanted to use JP Morgan. And if you go here, you read what they're saying. Look at the last point here on my course. It says, however, while diversification away from the dollar is a growing trend, the factors that support dollar dominance remain well entrenched. This is where they lie. This is not true. How can it be well entrenched? Do you see how things have gone up in price? And the more they get away from the dollar, the more expensive things become. So people have to find ways. That's why old people, I went to a place where they buy and sell gold and silver, right? And precious metals. I entered the place and I was waiting for my turn. All the people who are before me were all old, above 60 years of age. And I'm not saying 60, I'm even looking at 70. Some of them came with a walking stick. I'm not kidding you. And retired people, but very smart, very bright. They were selling and buying gold in cash. Of course, they get a receipt. It's all legit and everything. It's actually next to a bank. And if you are trying to buy a certain amount, then you have to go to the bank, deposit the money, bring the deposit slip, and they give it to you if the money is too much. So I saw that. And these people, once you see older people like that in their 70s, it's like somebody like me now. The Lord gives me life when I'm in my 70s. You think I won't read the signs of the times? Because these things repeat themselves. So they know what other people don't know. They know that something is happening in the system that people are not aware of. Look at the interest rates. It's at 7%, 8%. I know someone, I know them. They used to own a restaurant. They used to own, they're African people. We used to buy, kebab meat from them. They're one of the best cooks. When they make jollof rice here, oh my goodness, they're Nigerians too. But I'm telling you, and they're from the northern part of Nigeria. They make the meat. It's amazing. But they had to let go of their property. The guy told me, he said, you know what? It's our house. We've lived there for years. But when the renewal came, we looked at the cost of renewing our mortgage. We couldn't do it, and we had to walk away. They walked away. So yeah, I do that. I try to do that all the time. So this is the definition of de-dollarization on Wikipedia, but I use the one on JP Morgan just so that you guys can see that. And then also here, I want to show you this one that I did. This is Reuters. Reuters, I don't trust them anymore because of COVID, because of the first Trump presidency, all the things they said, they were basically lying. If you read this article, they talk about BRICS currency, and then they say, is the US dollar in trouble? And the way they wrote this, they just like, oh yeah, it's not really bad. It's not. And let me ask you a question. If the media tells you it's not bad, look at it. What is a BRICS currency, and is the US dollar in trouble? And they just bold-faced lie and tell you it's not. How can you say that? If Russia doesn't need the US dollar anymore, Nigerian president and all their people and all the governors are not carrying billions of dollars in big bags and the trunk of cars anymore because the demand is now lower. You know what's going to happen? When demand falls, it will drop. The value will drop. And some people say, oh, it will take another 50 years. How do you know that? How do you know that? Okay, look at this tab. It says rebellion against the US dollar. Rebellion against the US dollar. The dollar's dominance of global trade and capital flows dates back 80 years. Over the last 8 decades, the US has been the world's largest economy. Okay. However, economies from other countries are increasingly worried that the country has weaponized this position of power in recent years. So what I've just said, the summary of everything I've said is people are turned away from the US dollar, the value will drop. And it will be significant from this year because of BRICS. Saudi Arabia is one of the biggest reasons. It was because of them, their petrodollar deal that was signed 70 some years ago, and that the dollar has been like gold across the world. Once they say we're not doing anymore, we don't care. We're going to look for other currencies. Do you know the amount of money that would chase the dollar will drop? So say, for example, 5 trillion was chasing the dollar every day. Now you only have 1 trillion chasing the dollar or 2 trillion chasing the dollar. You think America can stand on its own like that? No. So America needs Canada, Mexico, Greenland to come into an alliance, not just ordinary alliance. It will be a borderless country with countries within it. But the sovereignty will be shared. The military will be not just shared like NATO, but it will come as one big military, one big army, air force, and everything like that. So the costs will drop, right? There'll be less stealing. So Trump will set up how things would go. The system will be set up. It will be very, very strong. Because that's the only way they can combat Europe on one side and BRICS on one side. Because BRICS is not just 5 countries, BRICS. It's not just 6 or 7 countries. Saudi Arabia has joined them, and many others have applied to join. There's like 10 more countries. And if you look at their GDP, my goodness, it's no joke. And they don't want the dollar. They're going to make their own currency. And China is leading them, with China having about 47 or 57%, I don't remember the number, of the GDP of the entire BRICS countries. They have a new boss. Well, I don't know if India has abandoned BRICS. I don't trust any of this thing until I really see. It would be nice if India comes and works with President Trump. It would be great. I don't know. But the point is, I live here. So I'm concerned about what happens on my continent, right? Because of my children's future and my grandchildren's future, right? And say, okay, what do we do? But here's the good news is, I really don't know Black Elegance. We have to, if you have information, you can send it my way. But it's possible under Narendra Modi, because he seems to work well with Trump. But what if somebody else comes after Modi and says, no, we are going for BRICS because we don't like the Americans, we don't like white people, we don't like this, the slavery history, like all of those narratives. If you get a woke person, that's what they will do. So at the end of the day, crypto, I shared how Ripple, XRP, is a secret weapon for the United States, right? Excuse me. And they're going to, because of XRP, the need for pre-funded accounts for global trade, right? We're talking about $27 trillion is no longer needed, right? As a result, that will be freed up. Well, most of those $27 trillion are in the US because the US is the largest buyer, right? They're always buying from China, buying from Indonesia, buying from Malaysia. The clothes we're wearing and Canada, they are from these other countries. So Trump has seen that if we bring Canada's few trillion into America, we could increase their GDP, and Mexico, all of this. So you have all this, and then you have Greenland for strategic military, and they have resources too. Canada has resources. Canada has oil that the leadership says, oh, we're not going to, we don't want to drill oil anymore. We want clean everything. But other countries, China, India, they are busy drilling for oil, but we don't, because we want to be, we want to make sure that China has clean air, everywhere else has clean air. But meanwhile, we can actually research. Research has proven how you can do these things in a healthy manner. But we have leadership who, I don't believe that they're dumb. I just think that they have an agenda. I think they want to weaken the strength on this side and strengthen the strength on the other side. They believe that that's inclusion. But what happens is that the person on the other side doesn't care about inclusion. They want to rule you too. It's a human desire to rule others, right? So, that's one thing Jesus is supposed to take away from our hearts, the desire to be prideful and to rule other human beings, rather be servant of all. So that and the greatest leaders in the past, what did they do? They raised their nation. But now what do we have? We do not have leaders. The fourth generation somehow throws it away. And these are the leaders that we have who are taught in university to hate themselves, hate their country, hate everything about them, and then just put the blame on somebody else. And that's exactly what. So what's the blame on? The white man and the church. Oh, the church and Christianity. They're the ones who did all this slave trade. But nobody goes back to look at the books or the history that is before America, because slavery has existed long before this thing. So that's how, they have these narratives that they use to, and it's strong. It's very, very strong, because there's a spirit behind it. So if you don't have eyes to see, you believe that narrative, you know what, you find yourself in trouble, because it's a mental block. You can't see things but through color, through things that are not necessarily true. So in my opinion, Ripple is going to be one of those secret weapons, and there's other things they will do that what I shared earlier. But yeah, so my 1 hour that I plan to be on here is up, and you see, Papi Jojo is here. He says the indigenous people of Greenland said they have rubies the size of baseball. Trump knows all that. This is why he wants to be there. This is why he wants to be, because they will go there and take all those rubies. Denmark tells them they aren't welcome in Denmark. They won't let them mine it. Trump will give them mining, executive order, boom, and then go work out the regulation. By the first week, they got the first rubies out there, exporting it by the third week. So he does things fast. He does things very fast and saves money. Unlike, look at what the Jerusalem embassy they built. They had proposals to build it for $1 billion. He came in there, and the next thing you know, boom, they built it at a very good cost, because they steal a lot of money. So somebody that is worth so many billions, why does he want to steal more? And some will steal more. Like, look at Nigeria, look at what they are doing. They are stealing us. They don't stop. It's demonic, because Satan tells, just like he said to Jesus, say, if you bow down before me, I'll give you all this. So he's looking for leaders who will bow down before him so that he can give them more. What are you going to do with more, instead of helping people's lives? So a lot of people, leaders in the world, they have a lot to answer before the throne of judgment, I'm telling you, because they've misused the opportunity they had. And that's why the wealth transfer, I said it earlier and I say it again, there are many believers who will not, I don't think, will be able to manage the wealth transfer. And it saddens me. They will not be able to hold on to it. And the reason is simple, that they are not, people are more interested in just knowing that, oh, we're going to be wealthy. They don't want to get knowledge and understanding. The Bible says wisdom is the principal thing, not wealth. There are two W words, wealth and wisdom. But wisdom, the wealth of wisdom is greater than wealth of natural resources. You know, so pray to God for wisdom. I've said it. Daniel, Joseph, they were all elevated by the wisdom of God. You know, and Christ himself is the wisdom of God. The Bible actually describes him as the wisdom of God. Solomon, he asked for wisdom. And then God said, okay, you have wisdom. I'll give you wealth now. Two W words, wealth and wisdom. So Black Elegance, I'm going to check. By the way, nice to see you here tonight. Thank you for joining. I know it's late on your end. Are you Central Time over there? Or is it, I can't remember. And all right, so I'm going to pray and I'm going to go. One didn't make it tonight. And so it is well with you. Well, Father, we thank you for Eastern Time. Man, you're late. You're late. So it's past midnight for you. God, I thank you for everyone who's joined me tonight. Thank you for the things we've shared. Just give them strength, give them grace, oh God. I'm praying for every one of us, oh God, that even in this wealth transfer community, I've seen people say all kinds of things. People get overly excited. Lord, I'm praying that you give us temperance and you help us, oh God, to interpret the prophetic words that you've given us under the gift of teaching, to understand these things and to know how to war a good warfare in these times that we're in. I thank you, Lord, because you have chosen to bless us in this season. I pray, God, that the warfare that has been arrayed against your church for the gift that you have prepared for us, you give us victory. I pray that you confuse those who spit fire in darkness, those who, oh God, frame lies, oh God, against your people, against your church, and those who seek to steal our resources or to paralyze our ability to think or to move forward in your will. God, I pray that you give us the victory in these times and these seasons. In Jesus' mighty name. Thank you, Lord. I give you praise and glory and honor. Hallelujah. And if anybody is here, you really don't like that we pray and read the Bible on when I'm on here, you know, I have no apologies. This is, I say it all the time. This is what that's how I'm called. And I can't divorce myself from what sustains me. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. So, yeah. Well, God bless you all. I pray that you have a good night, and I will see you. Hopefully tomorrow I'll be on. If I won't, then it will be next week. God bless you. All right. Victoria, good to see you. How are things going in Namibia? Have you been able to, do you still have a good source of, being able to buy tokens? Okay. Good night, everyone. Good night.